So if you look at a baseball swing and a crossover in basketball, you're not going to see too many similarities with the naked eye. But when you dissect that movement, there are actually a lot of similar components between that swing and that crossover. So the basis of both of these movements is that we're shifting weight from one leg to the other and then using that to explode out. In a baseball swing, we obviously load onto the back leg before using that power to swing out and hit the ball. Now in a basketball situation, we're shifting onto that leg to obviously deceive a defender, right? So we're stepping onto one leg, they think we're going forward, then we shift back with it. So at the very foundational level, we're just shifting weight from one leg to the other to serve a purpose. So now you're probably looking at me crazy. Of course we shift weight back and forth between legs. We do it in every sport. Why is that so special? And I think the reason for this is it's not just because we shift the weight, but it's how we do them in both movements. Because in both of these movements, we're shifting up to 80 to 100% of our weight onto one foot. When we load up for that baseball swing, you'll actually see a lot of players' front foot come off the ground. In basketball, that non-stance foot barely has any weight on it. So because of this, we have to understand how to unload a leg to put all that load onto the other leg. And again, it sounds obvious, but there's more to it. All right, so let's say I'm in a low athletic position. I try to shift all of my weight onto one leg and the other leg comes off the ground. Obviously, we don't really want that in a basketball situation. It's very unstable. We only have one leg on the ground. It doesn't give us freedom to do much, and you can go on and on with that. But let's say I do keep it on the ground and I shift, look what happens in the knee. You can even feel this tension on the medial side of the knee as it's collapsing in. This is the very standard knee valgus that we talk about, right? That knee is collapsing in, and that's why we're feeling that tension on the inside of that knee. So what can we do to alleviate this? Is now instead of letting it collapse, we're internally rotating at the hip, and that toe turns in to follow the knee. Instead of here, I'm there. And this is the exact position you'll see in crossovers, or even snatchbacks where I'm internally rotating that hip to unload this leg and put all the load on the stance leg. Now, when you look at a baseball swing, a lot of players have very similar mechanics. So they're loading up and they internally rotate the same way we're getting into a crossover, put all that weight onto that load leg, and then use that to get that rotational power. So you can pretty much say that internally rotating that non-stance leg is the way to unlock that ability to optimally shift weight. Now, keep in mind that like a lot of stuff I talk about, this stuff just happens naturally for the best athletes. They've played enough, they've handled the ball enough to the point where they do it naturally. They don't have to think about it in training. But when you look at less shifty players, less agile players with the ball, they don't do this as much, and this is for a reason. So we can reverse engineer this, train it, and apply it more into games for those who don't already do it. So that begs the question, why don't some players do this if it's just the natural way we shift weight? Number one, mobility. If we don't have that hip internal rotation mobility, we're not gonna be able to reach those positions in the game, so that speaks for itself. Number two, we just haven't felt that coordination even without the ball here. So this is a matter of just getting them to feel what that weight shift with that internal rotation feels like. And then obviously we apply it into a game situation, get them moving with the ball, shifting that weight side to side using that hip internal rotation. So I'll have a lot more coming on that, but I just wanted to address this very basic point, but it's also pretty interesting when you compare it across multiple sports. Stay tuned for how we can train this and a lot more. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at ByAnyMeansBasketball.